One Mishnah in Pirkei Avot speaks about the 7 qualities that a chacham, a sage, a wise person has. And the last of those qualities, maybe the pinnacle of the qualities, is modeh al ha'emet, one who admits the truth. And in many ways, that is just the nature of our practice. It's just a practice of admitting the truth over and over again, just seeing things how they really are and admitting this is how they are. Whether it's pretty or whether it's ugly, whether it feels praiseworthy or whether it feels shameful, that's just how things are. Sometimes we're sitting and we are focused for a few moments. And we noticed, this is what focused mind is like. We're with the breath. We're with the object of our attention. Sometimes we sit and our mind is going crazy. It's jumping from here to there. And then we go crazy in response. We judge ourselves. We get frustrated. We think I'm a bad meditator. Or we could just modeh al ha'emet, just admit the truth. This is what crazy mind is like. This is what crazy mind looks like. Or sometimes fear and anxiety arises. And this is what fearful mind is like. And sometimes joy arises. And with a little bit of appreciation, this is what joyful mind is like. We don't have to hold on to it. We don't have to hold back from it either. Because we're worried it's going to go away, we can just let it be. And we can just open to it. Of course, sometimes that's extremely hard. Sometimes it's excruciatingly hard. It's so painful, it's so difficult at that moment, and we just want to run away. We just want to hide, we just want to distract ourselves. And of course, we often do. In all the thousands of ways, you pick your favorites, I'll pick mine. How do we distract ourselves? How do we hide? How do we run away? But then, sometimes, and more as we commit ourselves to our practice, we find the courage and the conviction and the commitment that comes really from the knowledge of the benefit of what we are doing to come back, to return again, to hold our seat, to get found. And when we do this admitting allows another kind of admitting. Because we get to start to actually see our states of heart and mind and body. If we can acknowledge what is happening in this moment, we can also admit in sort of a broader way, in a conceptual way even, that we've had these states. That we have done, not just these states, but we have done these things X or Y, which were harmful things to do or say, without falling into self-hatred or shame. With just a clear seeing of how we have caused harm, and now what we can do to fix it, to just lodot, to just admit what is actually true. And yet in another way, we can understand modeh al ha'emet not just as to admit the truth, but to have gratitude for the truth. From the same root as todah, thank you, hodaya, thanksgiving, gratitude. Modim anachnu lach, we say in the Amidah, we are grateful before you. O modeh ani lefanecha, we say in the morning blessings. I am grateful before you. On one hand, perhaps it means that the chacham, the sage, also knows how to give thanks for what is true, for what is really reality right now, to see the blessing even when something is hard. But there's also something inherently grateful just in seeing things as they are, even hard things. There's something inherently open, inherently freeing. Even before we make some kind of conceptual leap to say, and there's something also I can appreciate here. There's something in particular that's good here. Even in pain, even in physical pain, when we can see it truly, we can see it directly, there's something pleasurable in our presence, in the seeing itself, in the truthfulness, in the mindfulness manifesting. There is a joy, there is a fullness in that itself. And that is actually quite a gift of our practice. That each moment can touch the joy and fullness of presence, even when that which presence is touching may itself be difficult or may itself be challenging. And part of what is freeing is really the freeing from the shame, from the guilt, which not only close us down, but actually stop us from being modeh al emet, from seeing things just as they truly are. It's the freedom of having things out in the open. There's something so liberating about it. One of my teachers, Michelle McDonald, told a story which she said a teacher had said to hers, which is that, what if your thoughts were all of a sudden broadcast to everybody? You walked around the street and everybody could hear your thoughts. What would that feel like? And I remember my own reaction. It was at first, terror, right? It's scary. Like, to really expose myself that much, I already feel the craziness of my thoughts. But then, not long after, that experience of how liberating that would be when we're actually able to share a mind state with another, when we have nothing more left to hide because everything's already been exposed. How liberating would that be? And part of that liberation is also in simply recognizing that we are not alone, that we are not strange or different or wrong or flawed. We're just plain old human beings like everyone else. And in seeing our plainness, really, our humanness, perhaps we can forgive ourselves. We can embrace ourselves. We can even have gratitude for ourselves. And we can let go of that shame. Indeed, the Gemara, it's a very interesting phrase, hoda velo bosh, to admit without shame. Without shame. It says of Moshe, hoda velo bosh Moshe lomar, particular situation, he had made a mistake. And instead of saying lo shamati, which meant, oh, I made this mistake because I hadn't heard that law, Elamar, rather, he actually said, shamati v'shachachti. I actually heard that. I had known that I was supposed to do that, but I had forgotten that was what I was supposed to do, right? He doesn't have to shade the truth. He doesn't have to make it more acceptable. Oh, I never heard that, so it wasn't my fault. He can just tell it as it is. Hoda v'lo bosh. He can just admit it without being ashamed. Oh, that's right. I messed up in that way. I heard that. I knew that, but I forgot it. And isn't that the case always when we mess up in some way? We've heard it, we know it, some part of us knows it, but we were forgetful. We forgot who we were for a moment. And when we can do that, we can really admit the fullness of what the truth is at the moment. Then we let go of shame. And that's just so much of our practice, that letting go of shame and just seeing things as they are. Just knowing that this is normal. This is what it means to be a human being. This is part of who we are. A colleague of mine who runs seminars for engaged couples said that one of the crucial things for them to experience is just to let go of the illusion that everyone else is conflict-free and holding hands and everything's lovey-dovey and perfect, right? To learn that just conflict is part of it. It's part of what it means to be in a relationship. It's part of what it means to be in an intimate relationship. It's part of what it means to be in partnership. That is the truth. And we see other truths, that we have sadness and fear and anger and confusion and blame and judgment and jealousy and bitterness and violence and the desire to hurt and self-pity and self-justification. And these visitors all arrive at our doorstep. They may arrive quite regularly. And that's okay. That's just being human. And we also have wonder and joy and gratitude and compassion and love and pleasure and play and delight and well-wishing and peace and clarity and freedom. And these visitors also show up. And not only do they also show up, but they are always waiting for ourselves underneath. They are actually our deep nature. And so modeh al emet, admitting to the truth, is also admitting that there are parts of ourselves which want to run away from a positive experience, which want to not admit, often because of that sense of shame or unworthiness, that maybe we are actually already whole in some ways, that we are beloved, that we are delightful, that we are full of joy. But modeh al emet, the quality of being a sage, of being wise, of being a chacham, is seeing the deep truth that they are actually who we are. That love is our fundamental nature. And in that is that other meaning of modeh, of todah, of modeh ani lefanecha. Grateful am I before you. Thank you. It is feeling that gratitude for being human, for simply being who we are in this world. So this is the invitation for our practice, for our lives. The invitation to be wise, to be a sage, which is the invitation to just admit the truth, to just admit what is true on every level of what that means. And then to just offer our gratitude, our thankfulness for what is true, for this precious human life.